A celebration of Filipinx culture is currently in full swing across the city, but one event in particular has excited community members and film buffs alike. The SALA Film Showcase will be making its second appearance at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, Qaumajuq, as part of the 2025 Kultivation Festival this Saturday. The event will share films from a wide variety of perspectives within the Filipinx community and diaspora. Nathan Flores is with the SALA Film Showcase and joins us here in the Classic 107 studios. Nice to see you this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
So this is, as I mentioned, the second iteration of this film showcase at the Kultivation Festival. What was the atmosphere like at the SALA Film Showcase last year? How did people respond?
Yeah, it was really nice last year. It was our first go at it, so it was definitely, I'd say, different territory because there's not a lot of places to see like Filipino films, or even made alone by Filipino filmmakers. And last year, we were like really fortunate to have a lot of local filmmakers in that program just to set off our year. And we also had a good lineup of films from international filmmakers. And for the first year, I think it went really well. I think we captured the kind of vibe and environment that we were hoping to. Just kind of like a laid back, but still like, you can tune in kind of thing. And it was just a really nice day for community and kind of a nice intro into like what we could be in the future, I think. So it was really nice. It was laid back. We had some custom cocktails made. We had like a nice little like installation going on at the same time in the lobby, and yeah, it just felt good to be able to help give that stage to a lot of filmmakers. So.
Absolutely. All really exciting things and a lot to break down within what you just said there. But maybe we mentioned, of course, this is part of the Kultivation Festival that's been going on throughout the city of Winnipeg this week. How does this kind of an event play into the overall experience of the Kultivation Festival?
Yeah, so Kultivation Festival, that's about a week long of just like across Winnipeg, focusing on Filipino food, art, music, and dance. And even years ago, like when it first started, like way back, even before, just right before COVID, there was just talks about, showcasing film as a part of an art form, because there is a big film community here in the city, in the community. And I think the way that ties in with cultivation is just giving that platform, because even with SALA, it's like we want to be able to showcase films, but we want to show that there's, it's not just narrative, it's not just documentary, it's not just drama. Like there's a lot of different genres and types of films being made. And I think that is what ultimately ties into cultivation, is that you get a peek not only into all the other activations and like, those stories and how those people relate to what they do, whether it's like food or, music or dance, and how we connect that to our culture. But ultimately, I think like from the film side of things, we also get to see not just what you might watch like on your TV all the time, but you might see a bit of a personable kind of experience through that lens. And, different filmmakers will tell those stories in such diverse kind of ways. And I think that's where it really shines, is that we show people like, there is something that you might, maybe a color you haven't seen, to perspective. And I think that's how it ties in, that's the whole point, is to show people the stories we have to tell.
You mentioned that sort of laid back sort of atmosphere that the SALA Film Showcase provides, and that really ties in with the title of the showcase as well. Maybe you can tell us about what SALA means and how that maybe sets the tone for this weekend's film showcase.
Yeah. So SALA translates to the living room in Tagalog, and that was kind of a name that my friend Moses and I were thinking of when just planning up the film festival. And because we wanted to kind of take this approach and inspiration from other festivals, but we were like, how can we kind of characterize our film festival a bit in a sense and make it a bit more of something where it's like it's serious, but we want people to also relax a bit and just like enjoy that environment and bask in it. And essentially we went through, honestly, just like a lot of different ideas, and we landed on SALA in the living room because, in all honesty, that's for myself and for Moses, but also for a wide community of us. A lot of us, we relate to that initial experience of, being in our living room, watching movies, watching TV, whether that's with like my Lola, my Lolo, or so much happens in that living room, like if you immigrated here from the Philippines to Canada, or you're born, Canadian born, we all kind of relate to that experience of having our cousins run around and make noise at family parties. And we'll have a whole buffet of food in the other side of the room. And then during all of this, there's just some TV playing, or we wake up on a Sunday morning and, we'll throw on TFC and watch some Filipino news. We'll watch, Power Rangers or anything, where we come from or where, Canadian made kind of media. And I think ultimately we want to encapsulate that. We want to encapsulate the feelings we had growing up when, we sit in our living room and experience those memories. And I think the more that we do this, it's like it's an ongoing, evolving thing. We kind of learn what this becomes as we keep going. Like last year, it was just a film festival. Now it's like, okay, how is it beyond that? Is it a community? Can we make it actually feel like a living room where it's like there is no pressure to like overshow? It's just like you just come as yourself, and you can come in your pajamas if you want, and it's just enjoy the show. You can switch through different channels in a sense. It's to embody that home-like atmosphere, in all honesty.
Yeah. So it sounds like a really welcoming sort of an environment for anybody who maybe is more familiar with this style of cinema, this Filipinx cinema, but also maybe for first-timers, for people who have never experienced it before. How would you describe the characteristics of the films that come out of the Philippines?
Ooh, okay. So, yeah.
Big question.
Yeah, no. It's different, and I think it goes like anywhere. Like there's any corner of the world, but especially in the Philippines, we just tell stories in a lot of different ways, and that I think is ultimately derived from, the home we grew up in, right? And the things we see, and, as simple as like the way the sun falls in our house, or the way the noises all sound, or how loud things are, and the stories, whether that goes into maybe stories about food and how that connects to our culture, or spirituality, or the history, and I think ultimately that's like maybe not more so different, but just how we choose to present a lot of our stories,
Sure.
And I think ultimately, it's just such a wide spectrum of different perspectives that even I'm even learning myself, even watching through films this year and last year. I'm like, wow, I didn't really have my eye open to that at one point. So yeah, it's just this kind of ongoing process of just seeing, I guess, different stories in hindsight. They're all interesting.
Yeah, plenty of films to go through as well through the SALA Film Showcase.
Yeah.
Without giving too much away, maybe what's a film that you're the most excited about showcasing to a Winnipeg audience that you've chosen?
Okay. And I love all of them. I'd say I'll pick two from different programs, and I'll keep the rest a little secret because they're a bit of a surprise. But
yes, please.
In the first program, we do have it's called our Qaumajuq program, and it's essentially just a program that focuses on like Filipino international, so outside of our walls. And I'd say I'm really excited to screen this film called Vox Humana by, his name is Don Eblehem, I believe that's how you pronounce it. I'm very excited for that. I won't go too much into the details, but it has screened at really cool places like TIFF, and it's probably going on a cool journey on the festival run. So that's really exciting from a perspective of just how it's shot, how it's directed. I love it. And I'd say there's like in the second program, there's just so many. I'll give a shout out to a local film group. They're called Cinema Roll Studios. They have this like cool short called Friendships. Friendships. It's like they did it for also it's the 48 Film Festival, and yeah, that one's really fun. It's really short. It's really goofy, exciting, but they sprinkle a little bit of Tagalog in there too. So yeah, that one's going to be a good one.
All right. A couple of very different sorts of styles of films that people can then look forward to seeing this weekend. What do you hear from the Filipino community here in Winnipeg about the experience of seeing films like this when the film showcase first took place last year?
Yeah, I think generally what I heard is like a lot of people loved it because I think it's different because there isn't a lot of film festivals in Canada or in the world, let alone that kind of has a focus on that. And since in Winnipeg, we're so densely populated and there's such a huge population of Filipino people here, I think ultimately a lot of people felt seen in that regard, whether they were a filmmaker or they were just an audience member. And and people would show out in like, their Filipino antiques and everything, and they'd come with their titas and titos and lolas and lolos, and it was just heartwarming to see those kind of I say perspectives, and especially for the filmmakers, just talking to some of them, it's different kind of not being in that kind of like seat of, handing off films to the festivals. But when you hear like filmmakers participating, ultimately it's really like heartwarming to hear them kind of describe how exciting it is to see their work up there,
For sure. For sure. You've touched on this a couple of times now, this idea that local Filipino filmmakers are also engaging with this material. What do you hear from them about what they take away from this experience and then put into their own works as they tell the story of this Filipinx community, this diaspora here in Winnipeg.
So like what they take from kind of
what do they take from seeing films from all over the world?
Yeah, that's even for myself too, but even for the filmmakers, on behalf of them, like I feel like it's just the fact that like it shows that we're here, you know, and we take up space and we have these stories to tell. And even for myself as a filmmaker too, I get inspired seeing some of these films because, you know, we forget, like, Winnipeg is such a small city, and sometimes you can go online a lot and, you know, dig and go down rabbit holes. But sometimes when you just see it in front of you, and then even it's playing in your hometown, there's that inspiration. Even for me, when I watch films, I'm like, wow, I'm inspired to almost follow a similar path and, you know, to tell these stories, because there's an importance and there's almost like this obligation to tell these stories that you feel. There's this like there's this pull to want to do more for yourself as a filmmaker, I think, and to learn more about, you know, your history and who you are as a person and our culture background and all of those things. And I think that's one thing I take, but also the filmmakers they take, is knowing that like it's really possible. Like I think film sometimes can be intimidating, or any art form, right?
Yeah.
Any art form, even this, you know, like this can be intimidating. It takes like kind of like a leap or just maybe some confidence to move forward. And I think by seeing these films and seeing so many different kinds of films, it gives people that kind of platform, you know, to move forward and think it's like, you know, it's possible at least.
So many different ways to engage with the films that's taking place this Saturday, August the 23rd, from 4 p.m. onwards at the Winnipeg Art Gallery, Qaumajuq. We'll have more information at our website today, classic107.com, and on the Classic 107 app about the SALA Film Showcase. Nathan Flores, it's been so wonderful hearing about this showcase and about the impact that it has on the arts community here in Winnipeg. Thanks so much for stopping by the studio to tell us more about it.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.